masterwork of Ms. Collins, the book, and it is, her book is called Century Long Legacy and is for sale in the back. This inspiration piece for design of the cake came from that card, and the first scene on it is Parkview Hospital. The hospital was built and fully furnished and opened its doors in 1914. It had 25 beds, a heated water system, electricity, and an attachment for an electric fan. It was completely equipped for care of all patients except those suffering from insanity or a contagious disease. It served the community until 1971 and was the predecessor for the Nash General Hospital. Excuse me. Scene number 2 is the Bun House. The Bun House was location for the Parkview School of Nursing. The aim was to provide the course instruction for care to the sick and improvement of the health. Emphasis was placed on the mental, moral, and physical health of the students. The curriculum for the school provided an education to practice nursing in the home, in the hospital, and in the community. Scene number 3 on that cake is the Parkview School of Nursing dorm. I bet those walls could speak. It was located across the street from the Parkview Hospital. And that dorm was used to house all of the students. That it was a 3-year program then, and today it's a 2. So we appreciate the extra year that you went through for that. Classes were frequently taught by physicians, pharmacists, and technicians, lab technicians, in the basement classrooms. It was also a practice area for the technical area for your practical skills, I understand, where you gave each other injections, started IVs. The 4th structure is a rooftop of Thompson Pharmacy. It was located next to the nurses' dorm. The students frequented to purchase their personal items and get the best lemonade and orangeades, right? Okay. We can't have this celebration without singing a song. So we're going to sing to the tune of Happy Birthday. We're going to sing Happy Anniversary. But we have to learn this. It's not an easy song. Okay. So the first line is Happy Anniversary to you. The second line is Happy Anniversary to you. The next line is Happy Anniversary, Parkview family. Happy 100th to you. So we have to do that because I messed up. So we have to say it first. We're going to say the words. Ready? Happy anniversary to you. Happy anniversary to you. Happy anniversary, Parkview family. Happy 100th to you. Can you believe 100? So when we get to the 100 part, you got to yell 100. Okay? Are we ready? All right. Happy anniversary to you. Happy anniversary to you. Happy anniversary, Parkview family. Happy 100 to you. Yay! Congratulations, everyone.
If you look to my right, you will see the anniversary cake, and they will. Isn't it beautiful? This cake will be served for all of us to enjoy with the meal, and we really appreciate the community college students helping with this today. The nurse in uniform is Ann Green. Happens to be my real big sister. And Miss Sharon. They were both in the same class. We'll give you a minute to take pictures if you'd like to have a picture of the cake before it is cut. We've seen so many cameras today capturing what is going on, and this will create many memories for us in years to come. I think the photographers have just about finished, so we'll go ahead and get started with the program for today. And what a wonderful day this has already been, and we still have so much more to look forward to. This is the day that we come together for the Parkview Hospital and School of Nursing Centennial celebration. Thank all of you for being here today to celebrate with us. When I was asked to be the mistress of ceremonies, I did not hesitate to say yes. And it's not because I thought that I was the best person to do this job, but I did it because I was so thankful to be a Parkview Hospital School of Nursing graduate. I was in the last class that graduated in 1969, and I am proud of that fact. But we would not have graduated if a lot of things had not been put in place by so many of you in this room, because at that time they had told us that they were going to close the school. And we were devastated when we heard that, but due to things that happened along the way and with a lot of input from a lot of people, the school was allowed to stay open so that all the students that were already in the classes could graduate from Parkview. And I can tell you at the age of 10, I made my decision that I wanted to go to Parkview and graduate from Parkview. My big sister, Ann, graduated before me, and as so many I've found out today, there's a lot of families in this room that had 2 and 3 young ladies that graduated from Parkview. I would have been devastated to have had to have gone anywhere else to get my RN degree. Having said that, this gives us, the last class, the opportunity to thank the nurses who graduated before us for setting such high standards for us to follow. The first nurses to graduate 100 years ago set the foundation for all of us. Each class thereafter set their own examples and led the way for us to follow, so that each individual student, nurse, could develop to their highest potential. Every young lady that entered Parkview Hospital School of Nursing became a better student, a better person and citizen, and upon graduation was a high-performing RN that was admired as a professional and was sought after for employment. My first job, I was interviewed on the telephone, and they never met me in person, but I got the job because I was a Parkview graduate. Phenomenal. Because of the upperclassmen and instructors and supporters of Parkview Hospital, we, the last class, were allowed to graduate from Parkview. On behalf of my class, I take this opportunity to thank all of you. And in return, we, the last class, closed the school professionally and with honor, and went on to serve the nursing profession proudly. All who graduated from Parkview Hospital were blessed to be called a Parkview graduate, and our dream, as well as yours, was allowed to come true. But what a wonderful hospital it was. Exemplary School of Nursing, phenomenal physicians, administrators, support staff, and most important to us, the student nurses, the instructors. We lost some of the camaraderie that you had because we were 8 people in that big dorm by ourselves. We didn't have the upperclassmen there, and we didn't have the students coming in. So we kind of rattled around in that building, but we never lost the vision. We had people that did special things for us. Miss Edwards adopted us. Her and her husband would take us to the movies. I bet her son thought that we were his older sisters. Dr. C.T. Smith looked after us. I drank my first wine with cookies at his house. And he shipped in steak from Omaha and gave us a steak dinner. We never felt alone because so many people supported us. To all of you in this room, and there are many that are people that have worked at Parkview or Nash General, and friends and families, whatever your relationship to Parkview, you help to make all of us better. And we welcome you today to help us celebrate 100 years of success. And in the future, we will continue to support our profession by supporting the generations that follow us to enter into the healthcare profession. And a very real way that we can do that is with the Nash Community College scholarship program. So think of that today before you leave if you've not made a donation, because we are aging out. And I can't believe how many years it's been since 1969. But I'll tell you this, when we asked all of you to get up and take a picture, you did it in fast time. A Parkview nurse can figure out anything, and you've set the example. You've grown families, you've set the community, and you've done things that a lot of other people do, but I like to think that we've done it better. We are blessed, all of us, to be Parkview graduates. Thank y'all all for being here today. Thank you.
Let us pray. Our Father, I ask you to quiet our hearts. I ask you to capture our thoughts and collect them, that we may come into your holy presence. And there in that quietness, Father, we reflect on this warm welcome we feel in this place. And we thank you for all the generous effort that has gone in to making this place and this moment possible. And we thank you for those that did that. And Father, it is you who we welcome here today as we, at this special time of reflection and remembrance, for we know that your good hand has been upon those efforts that formed Parkview Hospital School of Nursing in Parkview Hospital. We know that it was your good hand being upon those people that provided that special place. We thank you. Father, many of our beloved doctors, nurses, support staff, and co-workers are not here today due to death or to poor health. And so for a short time, I would like for us to take a time of silence and remember those dear people. And we do that now. Father, we thank you for those dear ones that we've just remembered. And Father, we thank you for the grace that has allowed us to gather here today as we are remembering and reflecting. We know that you have been good to us, and we thank you. And now, Father, for this generous meal that has been prepared, it is our prayer that as we partake of this food and continue our celebration, we would know that it is our heartfelt prayer that this food give us strength to serve you. In Jesus' name, amen.
Thank you very much. And I do hope we have all of our active members with us. If not, and you're still out there, get on up here because we want to get you in the picture also. Along with this being Parkview Hospital's 100th anniversary, it is also the anniversary of the nursing school, the 100th anniversary of that. Along with that, on about the 75th anniversary, we decided we would have a scholarship, and we established that in 1989 here at Nash Community College. It has been fun doing it. It's been a lot of work doing it, but we were so happy to be able to and get all of us together. It's a great day for us. We have dedicated the 25th year fundraising campaign to the Establishing Scholarship Committee. That Establishing Scholarship Committee, we have 5 members are deceased. One is out of state so far, couldn't get here, but 4 of the members are still here, thank goodness, and taking part in the memorial today. So what this does, we feel, is it really ensures the legacy of Parkview Hospital, and will continue making our endowment here, as we add to it, certainly a perpetual thing. So we look forward to having all of you with us in doing just that. I wanted to mention to you, we have, of course, you know the Parkview pen is the gold and maroon for all the nurses. They, of course, know that. I lost mine, but anyway, last year at graduation here, I was presented for, on behalf of the college and the nurses, our association. They have this pen, and I assured them all, this first time I've had it on today, but they assured them, and I did them too, that we would never have trouble recognizing each other anymore, because the pen is just almost identical in size and the design on it. But it was so thoughtful of Cheryl Trash and Dr. Tammy Clark, everyone in the School of Nursing. They came to us and asked us, could they do that? And so we are most happy that they love us that much, and we certainly do them. The fundraising campaign, we've had 4 or 5 through the years. We've had 4 that I remember honorary chairman. These were from our doctoral staff. The first year, we had Dr. Ben Gold as our honorary chairman. And the second year, we had Dr. Lewis Thorpe and Harry Fish. And then finally, another year was Dr. Tom Suter. So we're so pleased that some of the family members are with us today, and we're so glad you joined us, making this even more special event. Good to see you. 4 of our nurses are on that first committee I mentioned to you are deceased, and we are being remembered. They are being remembered today. And at this time, a memorial candle for each of them will be lighted for those 4 deceased members. And Ernell Edwards, I wanted to tell you, was our president for 25 years, I think. It was a long time. If somebody else would come in and do it for a year or 2, but she was right ready to take back over. I took over a couple of years ago from her, maybe not even that so far, but what happened? Yeah, Ernell is back as the vice president, so they won't let her out of it, and does a great job. So at this time, she will be introducing the honorees and the candle lighters.
1989 Scholarship Committee member and Alumni Association Treasurer Eva King is lighting the memorial candle for Corinna Hedgepeth. It is recorded that Corinna was the last person to leave Parkview Hospital in 1971 as the hospital doors closed. She was known as the nurse's nurse. Her nursing cap is bronzed and has been given to us to display at Nash Community College in the Parkview Health Science Hall. Corinna served on the scholarship committee, and it was her task to locate all of the Parkview Hospital alumni and others, and she did this manually. This was before we had computers and things. So she did it manually with little to go by, and many of the records that were stored had been destroyed, and it's still impossible for us to reach everyone. But Corinna's very special way of giving and professional efficiency lives on. Lighting the second memorial candle is 1989 Scholarship Committee member and former president of our Alumni Association, Virginia Glasgow, honoring the memory of Leslie Mae Bone. Leslie was known to many of us as Little Bit. She was petite, but she was a little bit of dynamite. She was not afraid to tackle any job, any person, about anything at any time. She was straight and to the point. She was great at soliciting funds for the fundraising committee, so she went on a number of financial excursions for us. She worked hard for the Alumni Association and the Nursing Scholarship. There was only one Leslie Mae. Her very special way of caring was loved by all of us fortunate enough to know her. Scholarship Committee member and former treasurer Betty Langston is lighting the memorial candle for Martha Bobbitt. Martha's quiet demeanor is foremost in remembering her. She took on any role needed to get the job done. She was always willing and most able to accomplish all that she set out to do, and she did it well. William, her husband, is unable to be with us today, but we hope to have a recording to share with him later. Scholarship Committee member Betty Ellis will be lighting the candle for Francis Batchelor. Francis served as our Alumni Association secretary in 1989, before that and many years to follow. She had a very distinct penmanship and has been referred to as the most loyal Alumni Association member ever. She was a most devoted nurse. We had planned on Francis lighting one of these candles today, but Francis died this year, April 25th. The large tall candle is lighted by Cruz Sharon.
You can see I'm an expert.
This candle is lighted representing all of the Parkview family that are deceased.
Families of the four honorees are with us today. We have Roy and Faye Bone, Scooter Hedgebeth and his son. Let's see who else we have here. I know William Bobbitt couldn't make it. Phyllis Matthews was supposed to be here. Phyllis, did she get here? I'm not sure she did. Anyway, families, we're so pleased that you could join us today. Thank you for letting them be shared with us. Thank you so much. And others have helped in the scholarship every year, really, that we have done this campaign. Two of those on the very early end were Emily Battle and Margaret Hengeville. They did lots as far as memorabilia, and we have a couple of scrapbooks coming up now to submit as soon as they get in position and physical shape so that we can submit them to the college. A lot of good information in those two scrapbooks that they will be forthcoming. They both really contributed extremely to the early years and the history of Parkview. Patty Collins, of course, has taken it up from there and done a beautiful job on two occasions in her books. So the college is told they will add more cabinets as needed for our memorabilia. So whether you're doctoral staff or if you are the nurses, if you have anything you would like to submit, please let us know, or let Pat Daniels here at the college know, and they will certainly try to make room for it. Carolyn Sharon has shared the chairmanship of the 1314 fundraising campaign committee this year. She's the one who chased down all of the people, 100 some changes one time, another 30, and just went on and on and on. And Melissa Sykes worked so closely there with her in doing that. The list changes constantly, so we ask that each of you, if you will, keep us informed. We do have a P.O. box. It's on the program. And keep in touch with us there so we'll know when your address changes, because otherwise we won't know how to reach you. I wanted to tell you that this year I really stepped out on a limb, and it was kind of a shaky limb. But I had named this campaign 100 for the 100th. And some mistook what I said, but we got them all straightened out. And some suggested maybe it was $100 each, and I thought, well, that would go over, very well. We would use that. We certainly could from everybody, a lot of them. But when I mentioned the 100 for the 100th, I heard a gasp from the group. And so it really, that was like, you got to be kidding. Well, as I said, it was a shaky limb to start with, but we are hoping that we can still make it in this 2014 year. So with your help, we can do it. And that does conclude the memorial service, and our ladies can return to their tables. And thank you so much for joining and all that you've done. You've been great in helping us get through this. All the arrangements you see on the table, they did with Elsie Sears and Connie Merritt Gorham yesterday, and they are beautiful. Thank you so much, and we'll proceed with Gail Hollingsworth at the other mic in just a few minutes. As I was saying, the Parkview's 100th anniversary is a commemorative one, but the scholarship is ongoing. Gail Hollingsworth with me is our Centennial Celebration Chair, and she will be presenting the total amount in the endowment account. Just as this organization couldn't have survived all these years, about 85 of them, I think, without dedicated members like Burnell Edwards, Verdi Vick, Francis Batchelor, and lots of others. This celebration wouldn't have happened today, couldn't have happened, without the work and dedication of Gail and our two honorary members, Pat Daniels and Patty Collins, along with the planning committee, our Nurses Association members, and a lot of others who helped us as they could. Without the determination of this lady, though, none of it would have happened, and we really appreciate it. Here we are, we're doing it, and I'm so glad you could be with us. Thanks, Gail, for coordinating this most memorable day for all of us, and we'll turn it over to you to do your presentation.
Well, it was truly a team effort, and I want to thank everybody for your help. We had a wonderful time planning this. Everybody worked. We've had a good time, and it's just a wonderful thing to see all of you here today. I'd like to ask Dr. Bill Carver, President of Nash Community College, and Pat Ellis Daniels, the Executive Director of Nash Community College Foundation, to join us at this time, please. On behalf of the Parkview Alumni Association and over 100 contributors to this campaign, we bring the total endowment to $76,315.72. I'd like to present this to you, Dr. Carver. We know that we have assisted approximately 30 second-year nursing students in the 25 years since its establishment. We hope before this 100th year is over, we can reach our founding chairman's goal of $100,000. We can do it. We hope that all of you will help to make it happen, and we'll let you know when it does. Thank you.
Please do.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for your generosity, and thank you for allowing us to host this event in partnership with the Parkview Hospital Alumni Association. Your legacy has served to inspire many of our nursing students. As we house those items on the hallway, our students get to see what it was like back when. And more importantly, you have served to send a number of students to school and join that proud history of medicine in Rocky Mount. I was talking to Dr. Bailey earlier about the hospitals that existed in other hospitals that existed in Rocky Mount, the proud history of medicine that exists here, and y'all are all part of that legacy. And Nash Community College is just pleased to be a small part of that continuing legacy. So thank you very much. And Martha, maybe on the lighter side, I think this is Ron hadn't moved today. I've seen him running back and forth all since Friday, helping you get ready for this event.
And other husbands have done the same thing.
A lot of other husbands.
Yes, they certainly have. Mickey Sharon and Earl Sears. Gosh, we've had numerous help, and we needed that. When I got here yesterday morning, I know there were at least 25 people working this place. So it does take a lot for it to make it happen, but we did, and we're so grateful that you're here to share it with us. I wanted to say that for the Nash Community College family, we really thank them, all of us do, for their assistance in just about everything we do. It would really, as I said, been impossible to achieve what we have in these years, and that's after giving assisting 30-some students. We haven't been able to do a full scholarship each year, but we have most years have done so. It has increased as prices have, and we are back to where we can do a full scholarship. And it's up to the college if they want to do one scholarship per year, or do a split maybe between two students. Entirely up to them. But we know that we couldn't have been adopted into a better family, and they have accepted us so warmly. So whenever you get a chance, be sure and visit the Parkview Hall, and we will be having more stuff in there. A lot of our memorabilia, as Pat told me, is here today on the tables, but it will be back there very shortly, and I hope you've enjoyed our display today. I just wanted to say in closing that those 4 dedicated nurses who were with us, and our honorary chairs who were there in the beginning years. We certainly have, the ones that have already left us. I'd like to close by saying, may the glow of the light emitted by all of them continue to light our way as we continue on this journey. Thank you so much for being here, and from all of us to all of you, we do appreciate it.
It is my honor to introduce our guest speakers today. The first one is Dr. Lou Everett, and when I asked for the bio, she sent me her bio, and it's probably 25 pages. I was amazed. I knew Lou when she was a student nurse, and I knew she had done a lot, but she has done a lot. I'm going to try to make it a little bit streamlined. The most important thing she did, she graduated from Parkview Hospital School of Nursing. She went on to work at Parkview and in Dr. Payne's office. She did obtain her BSN and MSN and doctorate, and I think more than one doctorate. She is a family, she has worked as a professor at East Carolina. She's written books. She has published articles in numerous magazines. She is a professional artist. She is a family counselor, And where she finds her time to do all of this, I don't know. But she's done a lot of things to be proud of. When I really read the fine details of her resume and bio, or as it states, in the very top, in very fine print, I think that she captured it all and said it well, and that she says, what matters most is the love we receive and that we can give. So I will ask Dr. Lou Everett if she will come to the stage, to the podium.
What an incredible legacy that you're celebrating today with that wonderful scholarship. And what an honor to be invited by Gil Hollingsworth and this wonderful, hardworking committee to speak today about the way we were and to see so many of my friends and colleagues here. National Basketball Association Commissioner Adam Silver began his recognition of the NBA scholarship team, the San Antonio Spurs, by saying, "This is what the NBA is all about. It is about the best basketball in the world." And I'd like to paraphrase Mr. Silver's comments. This is what Parkview Hospital is all about. It represents the best health care in the world, given by the best nurses, physicians and staff, in front of the best teachers and supervisors. Like in Barbra Streisand's song, memories like the corner of our minds, and like all of the other nurses here, and those who have come and gone, with deepest appreciation and gratitude, I owe all that I am as a nurse to the wonderful teachers, physicians, and clinical experiences I gained while I was at Parkview as a student and later graduate nurse. I'll have to tell you that Dr. Francis Eason is the one that taught me as a roommate to stay up about an hour and a half, study, set the alarm clock, reset it, go back to sleep, get up again. I thought she was going to kill me, but she got me through nursing school. Through our experiences living and working together as students for 3 years, we formed lifelong friends and a lifelong foundation for professional nursing practice that has guided us in whatever direction we chose to go. All Parkview nurses share a common bond. Unlike current nursing graduates, we have some memories they will never experience. Let's remember for a few minutes the way we were. We were selected for our nursing seats because we were mostly rural girls who had a strong work ethic, and we would be dependable, loyal, and dedicated to the profession. We recall vividly the crisp rustle sound of our instructors marching around the corner of a nurse's station, and we knew if we weren't busy, we'd better grab a dust cloth and look busy. We used Vaseline and cotton under our own stiffly starched collars to soothe the irritation on our necks. And the most infectious things around us typically were the smiles we left behind. Not the kind of infections that plague hospitals today. We knew that a substance resembling axle grease called ichthymol ointment was the miracle treatment for burns. Most people in nursing have never heard of that. At times, we even had to explain why our surgeons' names were Doctors Battle, Fish, Payne, and yes, Cleaver. Gosh, they would say, how did you wind up with surgeons' names like that? Don't you have anybody else? And they were always relieved when I would tell them that Dr. Payne spelled his name Payne, not Pain. We stood on footstools and held retractors in the operating room so long that I know several of us share the same memory of hearing Miss Eva King's voice holler, "Somebody grab her," just before we fainted. We studied by flashlights under the bed sheets and quickly cut them off. Pretending we were asleep, we saw a hint of a light coming down the hall because we knew the room monitor was coming to check our rooms and we were supposed to have the lights out by 10:30. Some of us even drank juice from a baby bottle while lying on a quilt in the floor during our student nurses orientation. We were thrilled to be on probation for 6 months. We didn't know that was a bad word because we earned the privilege of wearing our white caps for the first time afterwards. Patients knew we were nurses because we wore those caps. Thank you for wearing that today. We never considered, nor would we have been allowed to turn our name tags over so nobody would know our names. Now, I'm sure that some of our teachers, as kind as they were, like Mrs. Ennis Edwards and Mrs. Lynn Everett, would not like to think of themselves as ever being drill sergeants. But let me tell you, being a PVH student nurse really prepared me when I joined the Army Nurse Corps in 1991 and served 7 years. Once when Mrs. Edwards was going to observe me to give my first catheterization, I was so nervous in my attempt to be sure I established that positive relationship with the patient before I started the procedure. I said, "Mrs. J, I'm Miss Witchard, and I'm the student nurse who's going to catheterize you. And I'm going to try to make you just as uncomfortable as I can." Well, of course, she laughed too, and then I tried to very quickly repeat what I was trying to say, and I think it helped both of us relax. My surprise was Mrs. Edwards didn't yank me out of the room. She just raised those eyebrows ever so slightly with a twinkle in her eye and that slight little hint of a smile as she allowed me to continue. We emptied and washed more bedpans than most current nurses would ever see in their entire careers. And we always wondered, since we had a hopper room for cleaning bedpans, if any student nurse had ever mistakenly cleaned dentures in there. The compassion, empathy, sensitivity, and caring shown to us by our nursing faculty and physicians have been etched in our hearts forever. I'm often reminded of a Christmas card given to me by Dr. C.T. Smith after he taught our class psychology in the fall of 1962. I still have that tiny little card, and each of us actually got one with a little poem or lyrics that best described us according to Dr. Smith. Mine emphasized gentleness, kindness, loyalty, and dedication. And I was so fortunate to work several years for Dr. Fred Payne, who continued to further instill those attributes in the way he practiced medicine. I have been in many physicians' offices, I've been in many hospitals, and I can tell you today, there isn't anyone that surpasses the professionalism and the high standards that Dr. Fred Payne showed me during those years. We learned true compassion, empathy, sensitivity, and caring shown to all patients, regardless of race, color, and creed. And because of these bonds and much more, including Patty Collins' books of our history and the wonderful scholarship that you all have just recognized, we will remember the way we were. However, we can also continue with the legacy that leads to the future of our patients for generations to come. I would like to ask you to celebrate another legacy of Parkview Hospital, which will go on for many generations to come. As we reflect on the legacy of PVH, I think it is most appropriate that I share some things with you that probably, other than Dr. Francis Eason's husband, my husband, John Core, who was the Assistant Dean in Business and Administration at the College of Nursing for 15 years, and possibly one of our students, Mary Sue Cummings, who's in the audience. Some contributions that Francis has made to the legacy of Parkview Hospital. For 35 of the 52 years I have known her, we have worked together as colleagues at the College of Nursing, and I have had the joy and privilege of seeing and hearing the principles, standards, and art and science of nursing being taught that was drilled in us. Many times I can hear some of your voices because she has role modeled those things at our school, so that all of our graduates at ECU would have as much of the same possible dedication, excellence, competence, and professionalism that we were taught. Employed at ECU in the College of Nursing in September of 1976, a certified nurse educator, an expert witness on nursing practice, who has served as a consultant throughout the nation and abroad as both an educator and an expert witness. She's been recognized by the College of Nursing senior class over 12 times. She has also served as a National League for Nursing site visitor for 30 years, completing 60 visits that include most of our states, including Alaska and Hawaii. Each year after the first site visit, she served as chair. And I have to tell you, Dr. Easton did not know I was going to do this. I haven't seen her CV. I have gathered information from various sources, but I know these things about her. She served on the North Carolina Board of Nursing for 12 years, 2 years as chair, 2 years as vice chair. Since fall 1988, she has taught the capstone course, and that's our last semester course, senior course, before the students take the National Council licensure exam for RNs. And to the best of my knowledge, I can count 4,000 students that have been affected by that course alone, not to mention all she had taught before. In addition, she has visited almost each UNC nursing school in our state to help faculty prepare their students for the National Council licensure exam, as well as work with area education centers. Abroad, she has traveled to Bulgaria, Moldova, and Romania to teach students to pass the National Council license examination for RNs, as well as taught at universities in various states such as Nebraska, Wisconsin, New York, and Virginia, and others. In 2002, you think my CV was impressive. Listen to this. In 2002 alone, she chaired the ECU College of Nursing's NLN accreditation and the nursing part of ECU's Southern Association of Colleges and Schools visit. She served as a consultant for 2 years at Virginia Commonwealth prior to their site visit. What was the result? You guessed it. No recommendations for improvement. That's almost unheard of. She served as the chair of the committee that brought ECU College of Nursing recognition as a college of excellence by the National League for Nursing. And if that isn't enough, on July 18th this summer, she is going to be the inaugural speaker for the Certified Nurse Education Preparation Course for the National League of Nursing at George Washington University. Initially, she was scheduled to do this at the new NLN headquarters in DC, but the class is so large because of her national known reputation that it's been moved to George Washington. So it is with the deepest admiration, love, and appreciation that I ask you to join me in recognizing Dr. Frances Rogers Eason, the PBH student of 1965, by a standing ovation for her outstanding contributions to the legacy of Parkview Hospital and patient care for years to come. Frances, will you please come forward? It is my pleasure to present her with the first signed limited edition of the Parkview Hospital plaque that reads, "In appreciation to Dr. Frances Eason, a legacy to Parkview Hospital."
As many of you may recall, Dr. C.T. Smith had a portrait in the Bunn House, and there was a plaque below that portrait, and that plaque read, "The life you lead is mine." I have been thinking just today, so many of you people in this room influenced myself. Many of you were my teachers, whether you knew it or not. Many of you, Louise Riddick and many, many more in this room, were teaching nursing students every single day that we were there in your presence. The best education I've ever had came from Parkview Hospital, and I'm not afraid to say that at East Carolina, and I often do. Thank you so much, Lou.
And now it is my honor to call forward Mrs. Pat Daniels, Executive Director of the Nash Community College Foundation. As promised, I am presenting the original watercolor rendering of Parkview Hospital that was taken from the photo on Patty Collins' book. And we want to give this to you in appreciation for the dedication that Nash Community College has given so that we can remember the way we were and the smiles we left behind.
We will certainly be proud to display this in our Parkview Health Sciences Hall at Nash Community College. Thank you so very, very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Everett. That was outstanding. I would like to now introduce our next guest, Patty Collins, and she is the one that has done so much for Parkview in writing books, and as you all probably, most of you have already obtained her latest. Patty Collins has been a registered nurse for 31 years. She received her associate's degree in nursing from Nash Community College, her Bachelor of Science degree in nursing from East Carolina University, and her master's degree in adult education from East Carolina University. She is a member of the Nursing Honor Society. Her clinical experience is in emergency and flight nursing, and she presently maintains her clinical skills by working PRN in the emergency department of Vidant Edgecombe Hospital. Her past teaching experience includes nursing instructor and EMS Extension Director of Edgecombe Community College, nurse educator in the emergency department at Nash General College, and the EMS outreach coordinator for Deep Life Flight and East Care Helicopter Services. Her awards include the North Carolina Great 100 Nursing Award and the Outstanding Alumni Award from East Carolina University and Nash Community College. Presently, Patty is the Director of Nursing of Continuing Education at Area L, AHEC. Patty Collins.
Linda, if you'll get the lights, please. Thank you. I'm very excited to have the opportunity to share with you my passion for Parkview and the history and legacy of Parkview. Most everyone knows how my love for Parkview first developed, but for those of you who don't, I grew up in Rocky Mount, and when I was a young girl, I remember seeing the Parkview nurses walk across the street from the nursing dorm to the hospital. Seeing their beauty and their grace made an impression on me, which led me to become a nurse. And this gives you an idea of what I saw when I was a little girl. In graduate school, my professor, who is here today, Dr. Vivian Mott, encouraged me to write my thesis on Parkview. The methodology that I used included information obtained from Parkview historical documents and yearbooks, newspaper articles, letters written by Parkview physician and family members, and oral interviews with Parkview nursing graduates and a Parkview physician. It is now my honor to share some of this historical data. We're going to travel back in time to the turn of the 20th century and continue forward to present day. In the early 1900s, Rocky Mount had one hospital, which was the 30-bed Atlantic Coastline Hospital. In 1913, a second hospital opened, which was the Rocky Mount Sanitarium, which had 40 beds. Because of the lack of surgeons and hospital beds, many patients from Rocky Mount were transferred by train to one of two hospitals in Richmond, Virginia. This, of course, was a very long and difficult trip for someone who was ill or injured. Realizing that the citizens of Rocky Mount needed another hospital that was larger, in 1912, doctors Joseph Whitehead, Ivan Battle, Richard Spate, Emmeline Quinlan, and Joseph Spate began the process of bringing Parkview Hospital into existence. And Dr. Joseph Whitehead was noted for being the prime force behind the establishment of Parkview Hospital. Parkview Hospital was completed in June of 1914, and graduate and nursing students from Johnston Willis Hospital School of Nursing in Virginia arrived to help organize the new Parkview Hospital. On July the 1st, 1914, the 25-bed Parkview Hospital opened. The first patient was admitted on that first day of July, and her name was Miss Abrams. The first operation performed at Parkview Hospital was a tonsillectomy performed by Dr. Boyce and assisted by Dr. Quinlan. At that time, a private room, which included board and general nursing, was from $3 to $4 a day, and the cost of an operation was between $5 and $10. The Parkview School of Nursing also opened on July 1st, 1914. From 1914 to 1917, the nurses at Parkview Hospital were acquired from other hospitals and nursing schools. The nursing program at Parkview was a 3-year program in which the nursing students received their theory and clinical component in addition to staffing the hospital. This is a picture of the first nursing class to graduate from Parkview School of Nursing in 1917. Kathleen Mayo, who you see standing to the far left, she was quoted as saying, "In July of 1914, we came full of high hopes to be star nurses, but almost gave up in despair as we learned of the great responsibility a nurse has to assume. Being the first class, we knew our task would not be an easy one, Nevertheless, we were determined to be worthy of the trust, also that sincerity, ability, and love for the profession would make possible and very probable the success of a nurse's career. In 1916, the original doctors who owned Parkview Hospital sold the hospital to Doctors Edmund Boyce and Bird Charles Willis, and the Boyce Willis Clinic was formed. In 1916, the Boyce Willis Clinic was set up as a model of the Mayo Clinic. It has continued to grow and is now one of the oldest and largest physician-owned practices in North Carolina. Boyce Willis Clinic is a multi-specialty practice, and as of 2014 has over 70 providers representing 18 medical specialties. It has 7 medical offices located in Rocky Mount, Spring Hope, and Nashville. In 1918, Parkview Hospital witnessed the effects of the Great Flu epidemic. Dr. Margaret Battle wrote that Rocky Mount was in the midst of an epidemic such as never been seen before. She stated doctors were seeing 100 patients a day. Many parents lost 2 children in 1 week, and entire families were wiped out. One Rocky Mount citizen recalled seeing 27 caskets lined up at the train depot, waiting to be shipped out. All churches, schools, and theaters were closed. Medical treatment for the 1918 flu consisted only of catnip tea with whiskey, which was given to treat fever, and red onion syrup, which was onions and brown sugar, which was given as cough syrup. In 1922, Dr. C.T. Smith joined Drs. Boyce and Willis as a hospital intern. Dr. Lewis Thorpe stated that Dr. C.T. Smith was really the first scientific physician in this part of the world, and that he kept rabbits and mice to use for lab tests. Dr. C.T. Smith was best known for his love and respect of nurses, and he created a nurses' loan program. Parkview student nurses could borrow money for their education, and once they began work as a nurse, could repay the loan without interest. Dr. Smith taught nursing students at Parkview Hospital of Nursing for 50 years. In 1924, Parkview Hospital made its first sizable advance by adding 14 rooms to the original 25. An apartment building located across the street from the hospital was purchased as a student nurse's home. In 1927, Dr. Newsom Battle was hired to work at Parkview Hospital and Boyce Willis Clinic. Dr. Newsom Battle brought with him advanced surgical skills that he attained from the once famous Baltimore Hospital for the Ruptured and Crippled, including specialty training in traumatic surgery. As of 1929, Parkview Hospital and the Boyce Willis Clinic were caring for as many as 1,800 patients, and patients were coming for treatment from as far away as Lewisburg, Halifax, Ahoskie, and Greenville. By 1930, Parkview Hospital was overcrowded again, and an addition was added to the original structure, which increased the size of Parkview Hospital to 100 beds, making it one of the largest hospitals in the eastern part of North Carolina. Throughout the 1930s, doctors and nurses at Parkview Hospital continued to see the effects of the 1918 flu epidemic, which included patients with pneumonia, encephalitis, nephritis, and pleurisy. Also, other common diseases seen during that time were malaria and tuberculosis. It was also during the 1930s that expectant mothers began giving up the common practice of having their babies at home and started coming to the hospital for delivery of their babies. The 1930s also brought Parkview's first woman physician, Dr. Margaret Battle, who was known not only for her outstanding skills as a physician, but also as a local historian. Dr. Margaret Battle also did research, including extensive research on how anesthesia administered during delivery affects the growth and development of the child. 1935, Parkview School of Nursing graduate Eunice Wood and 1938 graduate Corinna Hedgepeth shared their memories of what nursing was like in the 1930s by stating, "I remember when we gave shots, we would have to take the pill, put it in a spoon, and put it over a fire to melt it. We would make it into a liquid and then draw it up into a syringe. We washed gloves, powdered them, and then sterilized them. We also made and rolled our cotton balls, and we made casts. We worked 7 days a week, 12 hours a day. You didn't have Sundays off like they do now. And my entire 3 years of nursing school cost $50. During the 1940s, Parkview Hospital and School of Nursing witnessed the discovery of antibiotics and the beginning and end of World War II. And it was in 1944 that ill health forced Dr. Willis to retire. During World War II, several Parkview School of Nursing graduates joined the Army Nurse Corps, including Alice Bradley, who graduated from Parkview in 1946, Lieutenants Margaret Lucille Fly, Haji Sharon, and Eloise Hobgood, and Lieutenants Ruth Crowder Williford and Annie Hendricks. 1945 Parkview School of Nursing graduate Virginia Glasgow, who you see standing to the far left, gave an excellent overview of what nursing was like in the 1940s by recalling, we had 25 patients. A typical day consisted of bathing each patient, getting them out of bed, helping them with their breakfast, administering the medications, watering their flowers, dusting and cleaning bedpans. In September of 1948, Parkview Hospital experienced a fire that started in the attic of the old section. There were no injuries, but the damages was estimated at $40,000. In 1949, Dr. Thomas Suter joined Boyce Willis Clinic, and in 1955, he took a year's leave to study hematology at Duke. When he returned to Parkview, he developed the first blood banking facility, which Dr. John Smith was quoted as saying was without equal in eastern North Carolina. Dr. Suter also developed a referral service for hematology and widely expanded the clinical laboratory services at Parkview Hospital by upgrading the methodology for serum electrolytes. In 1951, Parkview Hospital built a new annex that added 40 more beds. The new addition also included a new enlarged operating suite, which included a recovery room, a larger obstetrical facility, and a larger kitchen and laboratory. In 1953, Dr. Lewis Thorpe joined Boyce Willis Clinic and began teaching for the Parkview School of Nursing. During his interview, he remembered, "When I arrived at Parkview, I found a diploma school of nursing in full flourish. The nursing students were taught by the doctors and the staff, and I was immediately assigned a bunch of classes, which I found to be a lot of fun, because these girls were like blotters. You were looking at about 4 rows of wide-eyed faces that absorbed everything you said and tended to be very intense in their studies." Now, though nursing school at Parkview was known to require a lot of hard work and great dedication, the Parkview student nurses still knew how to have fun. This is 1957 Parkview School of Nursing graduates Eva King and Mary Suit, who you see under the bed. This picture was taken while Mary and Eva were doing their psychiatric rotation at Friends Hospital in Philadelphia. And here are the nursing students during the 1960s having fun in the Parkview nursing dorm. And Parkview also had a basketball and a softball team. In 1964, Parkview Hospital added 13 more beds, opened a new emergency department, established a pediatric department with 7 beds, and opened a chapel. During the 1960s, Parkview witnessed the exciting time of the onset of technology, but sadly witnessed the assassination of President John F. Kennedy, the closing of Parkview School of Nursing, and the first steps towards closing Parkview Hospital forever. 1967 Parkview School of Nursing graduate Louise Carmichael and 1968 graduate Joanne Brake remembered how nursing school was in the 1960s by stating, "We learned to give injections and we practiced on our roommates, so we made sure everybody knew what they were doing before we let the needles come. We never threw our gloves away. We would put water in them to check for holes. If they leaked, you patched them. Actually, we hardly threw anything away. We reused our needles, and we had glass syringes. The student nurses would have to check the needles for spurs by rubbing cotton balls over them. If there were any rough edges, you would have to take an emery board or sandpaper and file them down." My entire tuition for 3 years of nursing school was $300. This included all classes, uniforms, books, meals, medical care, and room and board. We could receive $1 per hour if we worked an extra shift. As mentioned, in the 1960s, this brought the onset of technology to Parkview, and Dr. Lewis Thorpe discussed the first use of a defibrillator at Parkview Hospital by recalling, "None of us, including Dr. Chambliss, had ever defibrillated a patient. The game plan was that we were going to call all the doctors when he had a case that needed shocking, and we would go and watch him." So he eventually had an old man who was in atrial fib and congestive heart failure and was obviously going to die unless we cardioverted his atrial fib. So we all gathered in this patient's room. It was this big machine and about 14 nurses and all the medical doctors on staff in this little bitty room with this poor fellow who was quite sick and quite frightened. So John put the grease on the paddles, rubbed them on the patient's chest, and got ready to push the red buttons and told all of us to stand back. When one of the little nurses said, "Just a minute, doctor, look at the monitor." The monitor showed normal sinus rhythm. We had scared him so badly that he converted his heart rhythm, and we didn't get a chance to shock him. And Dr. Thorpe ended the interview by saying, "I can remember being disappointed in that man for doing that." In 1967, Parkview administration had decided to close Parkview School of Nursing. However, due to the efforts of student nurse Louise Wareham Carmichael and others, who hung a sign on the outside of the nursing dorm that read, "Please don't abandon us," which resulted in newspaper editorials, Parkview School of Nursing remained open for an additional 2 years. In 1969, Parkview School of Nursing did close, and pictured here is the last nursing class to graduate from Parkview School of Nursing. In 1971, due to an aging building and the rapid advancement of medical technology, Parkview Hospital closed forever and was replaced with the more modern Nash General Hospital. On May 16, 1971, the first patients were admitted to Nash General Hospital, with the majority of those being transferred from Parkview Hospital. It was written that Parkview Hospital bowed out graciously as it assisted the newcomer that became its replacement. Corinna Kedgepeth, who graduated from Parkview School of Nursing in 1938, and as it was stated earlier, was best known for being the last person to walk out of Parkview Hospital. She recalled, "I was the last one to walk out, and the beds were just like you left them. To walk out that door for the last time was really lonely and sad." Parkview Hospital was later torn down in the early 1970s. Parkview Hospital and the nursing dorm are no longer there on Falls Road at the corner of Hickory Street. However, due to the efforts of Parkview School of Nursing Alumni Association, Nash Community College, and the financial support of many, Parkview Hospital and School of Nursing will not be forgotten. A wonderful legacy with deep roots remains. As of 2014, 30 Parkview School of Nursing graduates are active members of the Parkview Nurses Alumni Association. Various alumni meetings are held throughout the year, along with an annual Parkview School of Nursing Christmas luncheon. The Parkview Hospital Nurses Alumni Association Scholarship Endowment was established at Nash Community College in 1989. Presently, 24 scholarships have been given, which are awarded annually to a second-year associate degree nursing student. In 2006, Nash Community College honored the Parkview School of Nursing Alumni Association by naming the Parkview Hospital Medical Science Hall, which contains beautiful cabinets filled with Parkview memorabilia. In 2012, parts of the Parkview School of Nursing pen were used as a design in the making of Nash Community College's new nursing pen. This pen is given to each Nash Community College nursing graduate during the nursing graduation ceremony. Because of the continued dedication of the Parkview Nurses Alumni Association and Nash Community College, especially Dr. Bill Carver and Pat Daniels, The Parkview legacy will live on long after this day. In closing, I would like to take a moment to recognize a very special and dynamic group of nurses. And these are the graduates of the Parkview School of Nursing. I have often been told that the Parkview nurses were the backbone of Parkview, which is true. But I also think that they were and are the heart of Parkview because they are the vital source that keeps the Parkview legacy alive. At this time, I would like for all the graduates who graduated from the Parkview School of Nursing to please stand. And if you cannot stand, just raise your hand. And please remain standing. Ladies, if you would please remain standing for me. The book, Parkview Hospital and School of Nursing, A Century-Long Legacy, and this part is dedicated to all the Parkview nurses from 1917 to 1969. Usually at nursing graduations, the graduates are recognized in alphabetical order, so the very first person to ever graduate from Parkview School of Nursing would have been Grace Arundel, and she's standing to the far right. And the last person to graduate would have been Linda Wilkie, and she's on the first row, second to the right. So what I'm about to read is dedicated to every Parkview School of Nursing graduate from Grace Arundel in 1917 to Linda Wilkie in 1969. And I thought, who better to quote at this time other than Dr. C.T. Smith and Dr. Lewis Thorpe. Dr. C.T. Smith said, "The trained nurse, I admire her, I respect her, I like her. Nurses and the social values of the nurses are the rock bed of a great nation. The trained nurse is noted for intelligence, competence, charity, compassion, and devotion, has always and still does carry high the torch of humanity." And Dr. Lewis Thorpe stated, "Parkview nurses were the best nurses I have ever encountered. A Parkview graduate is given to be an excellent nurse." So at this time, let's again recognize these wonderful, dynamic nurses with a round of applause. Thank you. And thank you very much.
Thank you, Patty. That was outstanding. As was just mentioned, so much has been put into this program today by so many people. What has been brought out repeatedly was the physicians that helped us to become who we became. Dr. C.T. Smith's family is with us today, his daughter Elizabeth Smith Miller, and we would like to thank her and her father. I remember if you read a book, Dr. C.T. would give you a book, but in that book that he gave you, he would write you something very special that, as Lou said, just pertained to you. So we thank the family of Dr. C.T. Smith that are here today. Would you raise your hand? Thank you. Dr. N.P. Battle's daughter Ann is here today, and his son, I think it's O.B., Dr. Battle's daughter and son. Would you raise your hand? Dr. Whitehead's grandson, William Ward. Dr. Looney's grandson, Al Corinth. Dr. Suter's family, and when they wrote a letter stating that they would be here and some things about Dr. Suter, he was not only a teacher in the School of Nursing at Parkview, but was a mentor to the students, coached the girls' basketball team, and established the first student government association. He loved his girls and always had a PVH nurse as his office nurse. To the Suter family. This program today took many hours of work from an outstanding group of ladies. I know you've met them one-on-one, you know who they are, but I do not think that we could end without having recognized them by name. And as I read your name, please stand. For the Parkview Hospital School of Nursing Alumni Association Officers, President Patty Rayner Price, class of 1957. Vice President Ernell Wilson Edwards, class of 1956. Correspondence Secretary Carolyn Morgan Sharon, class of 1965. Recording Secretary Ann Edwards Green, class of 1965. Treasurer Eva May King, class of 1957. Please remain standing as we introduce the Reunion Planning Committee. Gail Hollingsworth, RN, class of 1966, the chairman for the Planning Committee. Louise Carmichael, Patty Collins, Effie Webb, Elsie Sears, and Pat Daniels, Nash Community College. Let's give them all a hand. There is so much that has been said and done today. One of the most important things is we got to meet people that we've not seen in years. We, the students, were able to say thank you for the people that helped us to get through the school, and then afterwards many of you and us worked together. The one-on-one comments today have been so positive. We were able to thank people that helped us. We learned things about people we didn't know. And we all told our stories. There was just so many stories to be told. I wish we could have captured all of them by videotape or on the camera or whatever. It would make another book, Patty, just the verbal comments from the room today. I think this has been the best celebration that we have ever had, and all the rest have been great, but this one has just been phenomenal. So much work went into it, but it all came together. On behalf of everyone that is in this room, I would just like to say thank you for what you have done with your life. You have given so much, and you continue to give today, and you will continue to give tomorrow. Such beautiful ladies, you can see the proudness and the professionalism in each one of you. We thank you all for coming today, and I know for some it has been a long journey to come, for some it's been hard to get here, but thank you for making the effort. For all the friends of the nurses, we thank you for continuing to support us. We are better people for having been here today. And I feel sure that the Lord has blessed us, and He will continue to bless us as we move forward. I just want to say a thank you to everyone. And in case that something has been left out and somebody's got a pressing point, and I'm going to talk about the flowers in a minute that are on the table, but is there anybody in the room that just feels that there's just something else that needs to be said? We'll let you have your chance. Yes.
I'm Louise Wareham Carmichael. I'm the student that threw the banister over the balcony, which kept the school open 2 more years. I'd like to know if Patty Collins would come up here, please. I met Patty Collins at a Parkview alumni Christmas party about 12 years ago. And at that party, I was told that she was working on her master's thesis, and she was going to write about Parkview Hospital. And on a pile, on a table, there were some photographs and articles, and I walked up and said, "Do you have a picture of the banner?" And she was digging through, and she pulled it out, and I said, "I'm the one that threw it over the edge." And I walked away. Patty followed me over to my table, and that began a very long friendship. It ended up in the 90th reunion that we had here. It caused, we began the collection, which is now in the Parkview Health Science Hall. We've had a lot of donations. We've had a lot of laughs. We have uncovered a lot of stories. We have been given things. In the Health Science Hall, the sign that says Parkview Hospital was donated to us by Norman Chambliss from Dr. Chambliss, and it hung over the portico of Parkview Hospital from the day it was opened until it was torn down. That lives here now. Today we celebrate the 100th anniversary of Parkview Hospital. And Patty has written 2 books about Parkview Hospital, the School of Nursing, the doctors, the nurses. Parkview is gone, the nurses' home is gone, the Bun House, even the home of Dr. C.T. Smith. They've been leveled. All that's left is our memories. Patty has written books that are going to preserve our history and legacy for future generations. It is my pleasure, on behalf of the Parkview Nurses Alumni Association and the entire Parkview Hospital family, to present to you the certificate of appreciation for the work and effort you have put into the preservation of our history and our legacy. And on a side note, we ran this based on her name on the first book, which was Patty C. Collins. So we decided to fix it, and we have Patty L. Collins, so she can have one for home and one for the office. When we make a mistake, we figure out a good use for it.
Thank you very much to the Alumni Association. Louise didn't tell me she was going to do this, so I had my earlier speech planned. I don't have anything planned now, but So many people have asked, said thank you for what I did, but no, thank you. I enjoyed every minute of it. I just spoke to a reporter earlier, and he was asking me why, and I've said this numerous times also. I still work as a nurse. I'm the director of nursing, continuing ed at Area LAHEC, but I still practice. And one of the things that I always say about the Parkview nurses that I admire them so much, they did things the right way, And I feel like that presently in healthcare we could just sit down at the table and talk to you and learn a lot about the way things should be done. So that's the way I feel, and I've admired you for years, and thank you so much for leading me to become a nurse, because I really did see that picture that I show you. I still have that memory of seeing you walk across the street, and that's what laid the foundation. So thank you for doing it the right way, and the compassion and the way you still feel and how proud you are of your heritage. I'm very proud to be an honorary member of your association. Thank you.
The arrangements on the table were also made by Parkview graduates. The stands need to stay, but the person who has the nearest birthday at the table to today's date is welcome to take the flower arrangement with you. The caps on the top were made by Ann Green, who did an outstanding job with that. I know that I am supposed to say to close, but I really do think Ms. Price and Gail Hollingsworth should come up to the stage, and I think that they should be the last two people that you see for all of the hard work that they have done, and maybe one just final comment from each one of them. And this is a surprise to them, and Ms. Price probably doesn't like this because she is so organized. But I cannot, from my experience in having worked with them this past year on several occasions on this event, I think they should say the final words to you.
No, we didn't expect this, but thank you so much, each of you, for coming short distances, long distances. I understand we have one from Florida, at least one or two. Virginia, they're all over. Flora Powell has a class reunion. 8 out of the 10 in that class are here. They celebrate every year, and they chose this. Of course, she had to. She didn't have much choice. But anyway, the others joined her, and we're so happy to have them with us. And to all of our association members, we certainly appreciate everything you've done. I have worked you to death in the last year and a half, and I promise to be a little bit quieter. The only thing we have coming up is the Dr. C.T. Smith's Nurse's Garden, and we will not approach that until the fall, and we're hoping to have the Smith family involved with us to do that. They're hearing that for the first time, but we do hope that they can have some input there. We hope to have an Eagle Scout maybe do that as his Eagle Scout project, which would be very good. Again, thank you so much for coming, and it has been work, but we have enjoyed it. I love projects, but I don't want one for a little while. Thank you so much.
Thank you all, and we have loved every minute of it. Be careful going home.